Released September 1st, 2017, Scorched Earth marks ARK Survival Evolved's first canon DLC. This new map boasts an entirely new palette of tameable creatures, with new ecosystems, achievements, and obstacles to survive. This is the second installment of my Story of ARK Explained videos, and a wrap-up of the Explore notes found in the map. Though I will give a brief summary of the island story, you should definitely go watch my video on the first map in order to understand its continuation in Scorched Earth. As well as this, I narrate a series of notes for each author found on the ARKs, so definitely check those out as well to get the full story. Before we jump in, I want to tell you guys about an awesome cinematic creator here on YouTube that has made a couple odes to ARK on their channel. Go check Xander Bats out in the description after you finish here. And finally, I want to shamelessly promote myself and say I started a second channel for all non-related content, where I just posted a video and I would absolutely love for you guys to check that out as well. Now, enough with the introduction, let's get into the story. Enjoy, survivors. The island stands as the introduction to the storyline of ARK, and various dossiers of its survivors can be found throughout the map. Here we meet Edmund Rockwell, a pompous, self-loving chemist who seeks fortune and prowess through scientific discovery, a man unafraid of cutting out the underdog. Helena, a modern-day biologist from Australia, who would rather focus on the biological interworkings of her surroundings rather than her own survival. Nerva, a power-hungry Roman who seeks to rule all inhabitants of the island with an iron fist and will not hesitate to snuff out any opposition with his growing army. Mei Yin, a seclusionist animal lover who would rather rely on her own strength as well as the strength of her clawed companions than that of any human. The story begins with Rockwell as he attempts to establish safety for himself on the island while conducting experiments on various subjects, including humans, using plant life found around him. He finds an artifact and directs his studies to the obelisks, soon garnering the attention of Nerva and his army. The ancient Roman warrior offers his support and armada to aid Rockwell in his studies and experiments, now exclusively human. Mei Yin cultivates a pack of raptors and allows Helena to accompany her as she studies the behaviors of these tames. Nerva's new legion army wages war on a tribe called the Painted Sharks, who are aided by Mei Yin and her beasts. She topples Nerva's forces with ease and establishes herself as a powerhouse on the island. Helena and Mei Yin defeat one of the map's guardians and are attacked by Nerva soon after. Helena is taken prisoner while Mei Yin escapes, injured. Helena, Rockwell, Nerva, and his army journey to the lair of the Overseer. Mei Yin tracks and frees Helena before all authors leap through the portals opened thereafter. Scorched Earth is obviously quite different than the island. 3 obelisks stand in a triangle much like the previous map. However, the creatures are engineered toward survival in this new environment. The ARK is a land of desert, offering intense heat and unforgiving storms. The map itself is split into 8 different biodiverse sections, including the Badlands, canyons, dunes, high desert, low desert, the oasis, mountains, and caves. Like the previous ARK, the environment seems to stretch on forever due to an illusion. According to Helena, and as seen in the game, the spawn of deathworms act as a natural barrier to the ARK's boundaries. The ARK cast loses 2 main characters in Scorched Earth, being Nerva and Mei Yin. However, 2 more are introduced through the lenses of Raya and Dakea. The fate of the absent island survivors are unknown through the notes on Scorched Earth. However, according to Helena, Mei Yin went through the portal alone when she received pushback from her companion, so up to this point she is perceived to be alive. Raya is an ancient Egyptian priestess, specifically from a city called Luxor, who fostered a small tribe shortly after arriving on the desert. Her notes appear in the form of ancient hieroglyphs. She worships the obelisks, using them as a vessel to pray to her goddess Hathor. Next, we meet John Dakea, a hardened outlaw from a wild western Texas or Arizona. He forms a small band of thieves upon his arrival and spends some time stealing from the less fortunate. Dakea is fierce and surprisingly just for an outlaw. He feels as though he didn't choose a life of crime, but was forced into it, believing it is now his identity. We see the return of Edmund Rockwell. He seems to have appeared on the ARK by mistake and expresses his frustration upon waking in the desert. He has adopted an acute need for research and experimentation of the ARKs, and a deep-rooted jealousy of any who might do so without him. and is unafraid of conducting destruction on those who oppose him. Helena Walker is the only survivor we see give an actual account of the technology used to move between arcs. Apparently, after waking from a knockout punch from Mei Yin on the Overseer's craft, she journeyed to the control room. Turning the console for the arcs on, it began rapidly cycling through different scapes. She chose one at random by hitting a red button and was immediately transported to the desert. Helena is still set on learning about the unique creatures of the biosphere, but focuses most of her attention on theorizing the origins and reasoning behind the arcs themselves. The story of Scorched Earth actually begins decades before the introduction of our main cast. It seems as though Raya and Dakea were among the first survivors to enter the Ark. Dakea begins his story accompanied by a trigger-happy hunter named Blondie. As time goes on, they pillage and rob, eventually catching wind of an established settlement to the southeast. They journey there and discover a small city, dozens of survivors working together to foster their own little paradise. John catches wind of the leader, a woman named Raya. This piques his interest, and while the others spread to find the supply rooms, sets out to find her. From Raya's first notes, she stands as part of a small tribe that positions itself near an obelisk in order to pray. They choose not to fight or steal, attracting many heat-stricken survivors. Slowly, their numbers grow, and Raya is named the leader of their group. This is a title she did not want, but accepted because of her compassion for her companions. When Dakea meets Raya, she can instantly sense his strength. She convinces him that he no longer needs to be an outlaw, but can find a life directed toward the common good. He strips himself of his past crimes and adopts the title of captain. Though Raya hates guns, feeling that no man should hold so much power, she realizes her city needs a defense system, and allows Dakea to govern and secure its borders, which he does successfully. He recruits a number of troops and forms a small army in the city. Though John and Raya do not share the same views religiously, they have a similar past philosophy. The former outlaw looks to the legend of Big Owl and Coyote. In the stories of Big Owl and Coyote, Big Owl was the huge, scary one, but Coyote was more dangerous, because he was clever. He'd trick man and monster alike, and everyone feared him. While the priestess believes in the two-faced goddess Hathor, Hathor offers compassion while Sekhmet brings devastation. Raya constructs a shrine under the obelisk, and her people follow her in worship of Hathor. The city continues to grow and prosper as trade routes appear. Raya conducts most diplomacy between her city and other established settlements throughout the map. A party of merchants enters the gates and offer an opportunity to trade. As Raya approaches, they attack, taking her prisoner for ransom. Dakea deploys his army on the merchants and stands as a sniper from afar. As the aggressors retreat, the army picks them off, dropping their numbers. Finally, a lone merchant remains, holding Raya as a meat shield. John takes a shot and he falls. When he runs to Raya, she is angry, not at the merchants, but at him and his troops. She viewed the battle as unnecessary bloodshed and elects to learn shooting to better protect herself so no one else will have to. Raya believes she should conduct her life like the goddesses she worships, saying Hathor would take the form of Sekhmet to unleash terror. They are always within each other. They soon learn that she is a terrible shot. Raya struggles with the idea of taking a life and offers to put down some sick livestock for practice. She trembles and sobs when the gun fires and believes she could never take a human life. The days go on, the city grows and garners the name Nosti, and Raya's shots steady. However, a large pack of mantises attack Nosti and take many lives. John notes that they moved and hunted like men, with intelligence. His army is eventually able to ward them off, and John decides to track and kill them at the source. Raya begs him not to go. She notes that she doesn't fear for the safety of Nosti, but for the safety of John. The troops travel for days tracking the mantises, on the way befriending a woman named Sasha from a place called Gru, who can make powerful bombs. When they finally make it to the mantis nest, half the army is lost in the battle. Sasha eventually wipes out the entire horde with a few bombs. However, while regrouping, a lone mantis appears and lunges at her. John shoves her out of the way just in time, but is severely injured. After returning to Nosti, Raya drops her duties and focuses on keeping John in bed and resting. While John heals, they form a relationship. For a time, Raya, John, and Nosti are prospering, and worship of the obelisks in the city is nearly unanimous. One day, disaster strikes. Yesterday, the towers started flashing and glowing like a damn lightning storm. When I saw that, I saddled up one of our cats and went to find Raya as fast as I could. Within minutes, the ground was crumbling beneath us, like the land was trying to swallow Nosti whole. Nosti is destroyed and all of its citizens dead, all except John and Raya. Raya throws down her religious belief and feels utterly betrayed. They travel across Scorched Earth, searching for a place to lay their heads. They come upon a ruined city and are attacked by wyverns shortly after. Circling in a swarm overhead, the beasts corner the couple in a small building with little chance of escape. After days, John leaps out, attacking the wyverns, giving Raya a chance to escape, and is killed. Raya is thrust into seclusion. In her despair, she wanders aimlessly through the desert, stumbling by chance on a nest of wyvern eggs. She takes them, deciding to spend her life protecting the survivors of Scorched Earth, alone. Decades pass, and after 2 brilliant bursts of light, Rockwell and Helena wake in the desert, unbeknownst to each other's arrivals. Rockwell follows footprints in the sand, eventually coming across a small city named Prophet's Rest. They accept him with open arms and offer supplies. They wear ceremonial robes and seem to worship the blue obelisk. He views them as primitive and beneath him, but offers his medical services in return for food. Helena stumbles upon a small group of survivors and studies the different ecosystem and animals that inhabit the Ark. She realizes that all creatures on the Arks are genetically engineered, each with a different purpose. She tames a small creature, naming it Radar as it can sense coming changes in weather. Her group finds a settlement, and they decide to find housing there. Rockwell has become obsessed with the obelisks, and with the metal that made up the Overseer. After a time, he discovers that Prophet's Rest possesses 3 artifacts that they keep hidden in an inner sanctuary. He begins hoarding supplies and poisons the guards in the night, steals the artifacts, and escapes into the desert. Through her exploration, Helena realizes that the deathworms of Scorched Earth act as a natural barrier in order to stray survivors from the boundaries of the Ark. She theorizes that the Arks are huge experiments meant to teach mankind harmony. Her group discovers a rock golem, and upon inspection it attacks. Just as it's about to kill Helena, a lightning wyvern swoops in from above and shatters the beast with a single strike. She catches a glimpse of a rider, veiled in black on the back of the wyvern. Her companions tell her it's a legendary figure in the desert known as Wali al-Aswad, a spectral warrior that appears to worthy in times of need. Helena initially believes it to be Mei-Yin. Rockwell realizes that if he wishes to defeat the beasts of Scorched Earth and return to an Overseer, he must align with a powerful army like he did with Nerva. He comes across a small tribe being pillaged by a clan known as the Burning Phoenix. They capture him and strip him of all belongings before thrusting him into a dark cell. Other prisoners groan in pain around him, and he decides to heal them, noting, if only to make them shut up. The guards notice his medical capabilities and move him to a private cell. Helena discovers that many of the villages worship Wali al-Aswad, so she decides to set out and find the figure. She tracks their wyverns to the peak of a mountain and spends days climbing it. After finally reaching the summit, she is met with the laughter of an old woman. This is Wali. As Helena explains her knowledge of the Arks to Wali, she notes that the woman seems to know more than she lets on. Wali has been on the Ark for a very, very long time, and knows the history of every village and establishment in the desert. Rockwell is brought to the leader of the Burning Phoenix clan, a muscular man named Timur, and is tasked with aiding his pregnant wife, noting that, should either mother or child die during birth, I would surely be executed. The birth is successful, and Rockwell is given trust in the clan. A great feast occurs in celebration of Timur's son. Rockwell slowly plants seeds of interest in Timur about the power behind the obelisks. The warrior eventually agrees to journey with Rockwell and defeat the beasts that lay ahead. They defeat the monster with little effort, and Rockwell attains the medal of the Overseer that he so longs for, dubbing it Edmoninium. After gaining what he desired, Rockwell poisons and murders the warriors of the clan, including Timur, and escapes to the desert once more. Helena and Wally discover him soon after. Helena is elated and incredibly happy to see Rockwell again, but he is seclusive, believing she intends to steal his research and Edmoninium for herself. He realizes she does not know he betrayed her on the island with Nerva. Wally does not trust Rockwell and refuses to interact with him. Helena theorizes that the Arks are designed to clip the wings of survivors should they grow too powerful. She and Rockwell decide to slay the Manticore of the desert. locate the transporter, and leave Scorched Earth. Wally takes them to the transporter, which exists beneath the ruins of a very old city. This city being the ruins of Nosti. Wally spends her time in the ruins looking off at the horizon with sadness on her face. At the end of her final note, Helena reveals that the true name of Wally al-Aswad is Raya, concluding the story of Scorched Earth. The final trial of Scorched Earth is the Battle of the Manticore. The artifact required for this battle is found within a cave that is made up of the ruins of Nosti. Unfortunately, there is no end cutscene for Scorched Earth after beating the Manticore, so it can only be assumed that the 2 remaining survivors from this ark's notes transported off the map after its defeat. So that's the end of Scorched Earth's story according to the notes. Thanks a ton for watching this video, and stay tuned for the continuation of the ARK Explorer Note series. The next canon DLC we'll be going over is Aberration.